What's going on, y'all? So listen. Girl, what's going on? We are here, and I know y'all was like, girl, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting it either, okay? But I really felt like I needed to talk about it, and I don't want to talk about everything, but I want to talk about certain things that just stuck out to me, okay? So I have been on TikTok. Y'all know I'm heavily on TikTok now. Follow me. I keep on telling y'all to follow me on TikTok, bitch. Anyway, so I'm on TikTok, right? And the peoples keep on talking about this show. All her fault, all her fault, all her fault. And I'm like, they like, girl, oh my goodness, the twist, the deal was so good. And as soon as I turned it on, I couldn't stop and all this stuff. And sometimes when y'all be seeing stuff like that, I be like, girl, y'all be lying. Sometimes y'all be lying, because then I fall for it. And then I start watching it. And then I'll be like, this what y'all was hyped up? Girl, I'm different. You know I don't fall for stuff that easily. But for some reason, because it was more people saying than not that the TV show was actually good. And it's on Peacock if you haven't watched it already. So I'm going to put out here from the offset. We're going to talk about the show and the things that happened within the show. It was 8 episodes, okay? If you do not want to hear spoilers, please click off, because believe it or not, it's still people when I do these talking about these shows or whatever, binge these shows, whatever, it's always one person that's gonna be like, well, you didn't have to spoil it. Well, you knew what it was. It's in the title. But anyway, so I went on ahead and took it upon myself to watch it earlier today. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was cool. It was cool, bitch. It was cool. I watched that whole thing. I watched it in one setting. You know, when it get to white people, rich white people mess. Mind you, it was based up in Chicago and in the suburbs of Chicago too. Okay, because if you don't know, a lot of the people, because you look at it, looked like they probably was up in Naperville or something like that, because they had the big houses and stuff or whatever, right? And then they'll work in the city downtown in the the central district, the business district, and all of that stuff. Because that's what mostly a lot of people do. They'll live them big money makers. They probably, if they don't have a penthouse or a condo within the city, they'll be in a neighboring city, or a neighboring city of the suburb, and then they'll come to the city for work. That's how it be, right? And so we get old girl Sarah Snook from Secession, Siobhan. Girl, listen. All I gotta say is give Mama her Emmy. Okay? Give Mama her Emmy right about now. Right about now. Because Mama, all she did was cry. She was hysterical, girl. I felt it. I felt it, bitch. It was like, oh my God, what's going on, girl? I feel it for you too. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I was with her for a second, and I wanted to just give her a hug, and I wanted to fight her husband for her. Okay, like when you watch the TV show, if you have not watched it, like I said, it's 8 episodes. I think probably like the shortest episode was probably 46 minutes, but they're usually between 53 and 55 minutes, 56 minutes, right? So a good 8 hours, okay, if you want to watch it all the way through. And it'll go real quick. And truth be told, it's going to be less than 8 hours, because I watched that thing in less than 8 hours. And I didn't speed through it, okay? Because you got to watch it and you got to pay attention a little bit. It's not too hard, but at the same time, it's one of those things it's a mystery. It's a thriller. It's suspense, because it's dealing with a missing child, all right? Now, as soon as the episode it opens up with Marge. What's her name? What's Sarah's name? Let me get her name right, because he kept on calling her Marge and all this stuff. Let me get the cast. Marissa. There it is. Marissa Irvine. She married to Peter Irvine. Peter Irvine got a brother and a sister named Leah and Brian, right? Brian is a little disabled, you know. He can walk with a crutch, but it's way more painful to do so. And he has a motorized chair, right? And we later find out the reason why, for the most part, that he walks with a crutch is because his brother basically don't like to see him with the wheelchair. All right. And it's like, his brother. Anyway, we'll get to it. We'll get to it because that nigga is a piece of work. Peter Irvine. Okay. So when first episode starts off, Marissa is going to pick up her son Milo, right? She's going to pick up Milo. She goes to this house and the address given by this girl that was supposed to be named Jenny. Okay, Jenny is played by Dakota Fanning. And let me tell you something. We literally sat here and we watched Dakota Fanning grow up into a goddamn adult. Okay, I'll never forget when that little girl was on War of the Worlds, irking my nerves. Okay, just irking my nerves. And now she's all grown, playing a wife with a kid. Okay. Now, see, Marissa had got a text from Jenny because she said, Marissa, son Milo and Jenny's son Jacob, they was supposed to be doing a play date. She was gonna come and pick him up after work. She gives her the address or whatever. She goes to the house, and it's this old woman that comes to the door, and she's like, "Baby girl, maybe you got the wrong address, and make sure that this person actually told you that this is the address." And she did. And it was the address. And the old girl was like, well, call her to make sure. She called her. The line is disconnected. Bitch, what? She asked in one of the parents at school, from the school. And she was like, Milo was on a play date with Jacob. And the girl was like, you sure you ain't got your dates mixed up? Because Jacob is here having a play date with my son. Then we in the park and Milo ain't here. What you talking about? So girlfriend is freaking out, okay? She can't get in contact with nobody. She gets Jenny's real number, okay? And, she calls Jenny, and Jenny is up in the city doing her job, okay? And at this point, Jenny like, girl, absolutely no. What you talking about? I ain't set up no play dates for you. So what's going on? I don't know where your son at, but, I'll come and help you later on. And I'm going to tell you this. The only drawback from this movie, or I should say this show, is the fact that I know they tried to fill it out and build up the characters, plots, and give them something worth, talking about or whatever. This whole Jenny and her subplot and her little story on the side, baby, I didn't care. And I'm pretty sure a lot of us didn't care. The only thing that I feel like they did her storyline the way that they did it because basically they put it out there that she's a career woman, okay? She's showing, and they're showing literally, but you can see that with both Jenny and Marissa, right? They're both successful women who are working and who are also being mothers and wives and, trying to figure out that dynamic. And they both have selfish ass husbands, and one is a little more selfish when we see at the beginning, and then we find out the other one is just psychotic. Okay, that's just really what it is. I'm gonna just get Jenny out the way for a second before we get into the story for real, because the men on this show, minus Brian and minus the detective, which is surprisingly okay, detective. I don't even care what his name is, but we gonna call him detective. Minus him and minus Brian, baby, they were trash. It was only two good men on the show. Everybody else was trash. And I said, oh my God, y'all get up into these relationships and you really just feel like, people want to say that they progressive and they understand we're not archaic and everything or whatever. But then you change up and you really are that. You get up into a relationship and a marriage, and then you expect your wife to just basically stay home and cook and clean and watch the kids and do all of this stuff with the kid. And you're supposed to go have your free time and do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. And that's exactly what the hell was going on with Jenny. Okay. Jenny was out here she works at a publishing house, for books and everything like that. She was trying to get this big famous author, Lee Logan or something like that, to leave his publishing house that he's been at for years and come over to the publishing house where she works at, right? And so she had meetings that was on the book that her husband knew about. And each and every time she would try to say, I need to do this and I need to do that, and he'd be like, okay, cool. It was a chore for him to watch his own son. When she had this meeting with another client earlier in the episode or in the show, probably like episode 1 or 2, probably 1. She had a meeting and the husband kept on texting about the son's water bottle or this and that, some stuff that could have waited. Okay. And she's like, I'm in a meeting, just give me a second. He couldn't even do that because he don't know nothing. He don't know nothing. And it's like, why do you have kids if you don't know anything about them? Don't give me that, oh, I want to leave my legacy and all this stuff. No, if you're not going to do nothing for them, if you're not going to get to know them, if you're not going to be able to take care of them, because what happened if something happened to your wife and she's no longer here and you're the only parent? You're going to have to step up. So therefore, be a part of your child's life and be very much considerate of your wife. Okay? And I'm just like, right in there, I was like, I don't like him. I don't like him. Every time she tried to do something, it's, I got to go to this meeting, I got to go to that, and it's already been on the books or whatever, because he's a teacher or some shit like that. And he was doing, which is not bad, okay? I'm not saying it in a negative way. He's a teacher. He was making it seem like he had this little club. And come to find out, the club had been, nobody really was showing up, so they had took the club away. This man had been lying to her this whole time about that club and him going to things, and that's the reason why he couldn't watch the son, or he couldn't go take the son to the doctor, or pick him up from school, or watch him for a couple of hours while she go close a deal or something like that. And I'm just like, whoa. So, and then had the fucking nerves at one point to say, you already know that on Saturdays or whatever, that's my time. I need to have my time, okay? I need to decompress. I need to do this. I need to do that. And when we got married, before we got together, you knew how I was. So now that we're married or whatever, I got to turn into a new person. I said, oh my goodness. And she literally backed down. You could see the frustration each and every time that she was on screen with him. And he couldn't see it. And he was so selfish. And then come to find out, this man didn't even have no meetings. He was just chilling up in the car. So all this time while she's up here stressing about somebody watching my kids, I need to get here, get to this and get to that. But my motherfucking husband won't even help me. He won't even see me and the struggles that I'm going through, because it's all about him and what he needs, which is relaxation. And he needs to be stress-free from the kid. If you wanted to be stress-free from the kids, you should never had the child. That's just true tea. Okay? And when she found out that this motherfucker just be sitting up in his car during the times that he's supposed to be at this little club meeting or whatever, she's found him sitting up in the car watching stuff on his phone. Baby, she said, I want a divorce. And I said, thank you. Because he ain't shit. All right? That shit pissed me off so bad. But that was all that was going on with her in her home life on that front. But how she comes into play is because basically Marissa, we find out that the nanny that Jenny hired, her name was Carrie, quote unquote. Oh shit. Her name was Carrie, right? Carrie fucked around and stole their kid. Carrie was the one that took the goddamn phone on a fake phone, a burner phone, and made it seem like it was Jenny that had texted Marissa and said, yo, we finna do this play date and all of this or whatever. And then she got rid of the phone after she stole Milo. Okay. And all of this was giving awareness. And it just like, it shows the flaws in Marissa's character and her not really, because I don't have kids, but before I give my child to anybody, or if I go see somebody or whatever, I got to be around them for a second. And then when it comes to kids or whatever, yeah, bitch, in this day and age, you can't trust nobody like that. So she didn't even talk to Jenny up until a week before. They started talking, right? Never met the nanny, okay? Never met her son. I'm talking about Jenny's son. So you just went on ahead and scheduled a play date through text message. Absolutely not. And didn't even know she had the correct number. So that was fault on Marissa's part, right? Okay, cool. Unfortunate, but things happen. She's overworked and she's stressed out and all of this stuff because she's also going through shit at her own job because they being audited and all this stuff. And, she partnered up with her friend Colin, played by Lawrence from Insecure, right? Bitch, let me tell you something. Lawrence is a gambling addict, okay? And the reason why the company is going through an audit and all of this stuff is because money is coming up. I said, what in the Alec Murdoch is going on? You are embezzling money to support your gambling habit, taking money out of this account to put it in this, to pay off this, you owe a bookie that. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, bitch. Why you gotta get up here and you gotta be the one that fucking up shit too? I said, no, Colin, get your stuff together. When he said he wanted to open up that trust, move money from the trust into that Phillips account, and it was Leah's trust. Mind you, we found out him and Leah fucking around with each other. And Leah is Peter's sister. Okay? And I said, you gonna do that to your girl? What type of relationship? You already started the relationship off on lies. On lies. What is happening? You gonna do that to try to cover your tracks? Oh no, Mr. Colin. That's why it tells me, I don't know why, and you can feel how you want to feel. Because he was the only black person up in this movie, I just feel like Colin was originally played to be a Caucasian man. It probably would have made more sense. But at the same time, I said, what? What is happening? But then we get back to Marissa, and basically Marissa and Steve. At first, Steve got me. He did get me at the beginning, okay? I really thought that this man was a caring father. He cared about his wife. He had that one outburst and he said, bitch, this is your fault. I said, oh my God, why would you say that? I said, I know we probably was thinking it, but bitch, you ain't had to say that shit out loud. She's shaking, okay? She's already filled with guilt. You didn't have to say that out loud. And they're going to try to apologize right away. Girl, please, okay? You said exactly what you wanted to say and what you meant to say, all right? But that lady, I felt so bad, and I feel bad for anybody who has ever been in this type of position because, girl, I don't know what I would do. I would run myself ragged, okay? Sleep, what is that? Baby, ain't nobody getting sleep until my chunk is breaking my motherfucking arms, okay? That's just what it is, But yeah, girl, so we found out, okay, that, Marissa didn't know shit. All right. Milo had been gone for a good week or so. Okay. They didn't know what the hell was going on. Baby, they did a press conference. And when they did that press conference and Steve was outside, this is when I started looking at Steve a little shady too. When they did that press conference in episode 2 and Steve went outside and he had somebody texted him. And then he called somebody. He said, okay, what do you want? Get it done or some shit like that. What do I got to do to make this stop or something like that? I said, oh my God, Steve, what you into? You had your baby boy fucking taken because of some bullshit? What you into? Girl, now, it was just some reporter had caught on to the story. Went on to how when a big story like this happens, and mostly because they was white, they was wealthy, they were rich enough, they weren't poor, and they tagged them up in that shit too. As soon as this news came out saying that the kid was missing, girl, the people started going through their Facebook photos and was like, the rich bitch got their stuff taken and all this shit, prank calling. It was like, you rich bitch. I said, oh my God, people are so evil. Listen, I don't give a good goddamn how much money you got. If a child is missing, a child is missing, baby. Why do y'all have to be so mean with it, baby? We fuck what they got. A child is missing, and they prank called her like this lady is already in distress. She thinking that this is somebody waiting to kidnap her, and I'm waiting for the ransom call, and you calling talking about somebody got your kid, you rich bitch. I said, oh my God. What the fuck? People are crazy. But when they went to that press conference and, the police officer, she spoke. And then the husband spoke, I believe. And then the wife spoke. And then once they finished speaking, all of them fucking reporters up in the audience. So you met with so-and-so to go, you trying to ship out a book deal because we found out that you was up there talking to this person and that you rented out this book about this, whatever. And so what you basically was asking so many questions that literally would make you think that, oh, bitch, y'all had a hand in this. So what you trying to say? You trying to say you set this up for your kid to get taken so that you could get a book deal and some shit like that? They said, I felt so bad for him, bitch. And when she had to walk past and she was like, he's my son. I was like, oh no. I was so mad, bitch. I was so mad. Girl, come to find out, that text message and that phone call Peter had got that was a little suspicious. He said it was some reporters or whatever that had called him and had got a hold of the fact that the wife had looked up the stuff to the book about kidnapping and all that stuff and how to deal with it or whatever, and was going to put it out there to the press or whatever. And so he was trying to bribe him not to let that come out because he knew that they was going to twist it, right? And so I guess it didn't work because they still did that, and that kind of swayed the opinions of a lot of people. They was trying to make it seem like, that they had staged it and they set it up and they son really wasn't missing or something like that. And it's just so crazy how when a situation like this goes down, all of the family secrets want to come out. All of the family secrets want to come out. I said, this is not the time. We supposed to come together as a familyhood, okay? And we're not feeling like a family at this moment. Because at one point, was it episode 5 or something like that, bitch? I don't know which episode it was. It was later on. Bitch, we found out, okay, Peter was lying his ass off. And he was making himself look suspicious like he had a part in the actual kidnapping, right? They asked him where he was on this date, where he was on that date. He lied to his wife and said on the 25th he went to a conference. She called up there to his job for something. And the job said, wasn't no conference on the 25th. Maybe he got his days mixed up. Oh, okay. And she confronted him about that, and he said, well, I actually met with a neurosurgeon for Brian to see if he would be a candidate and a good patient for this particular surgery to help him, get out of pain and start walking again normally and all this stuff, whatever. Okay, cool. Girl, why he lied to Brian and told Brian that, he wasn't a candidate? I don't know how Brian did this, or he had called the doctor later. And he was trying to ask the doctor to put him on, a standby for anything else that comes up and see if he could possibly be a candidate for any other type of trials or whatever. And he mentioned his brother's name and that whole thing. And he said, what? The doctor was like, what are you talking about? I told your brother that you were a candidate. Benj Brian was pissed. When he rolled up in there in that goddamn wheelchair, he was trying to bust the door open. Girl, I said not when the news people was supposed to come over and they were supposed to do the goddamn interview. All of the goddamn family secrets want to come out. Okay. Now see, Brian wound up getting hurt when he was younger, probably like 4 or 6 years old, something like that, right? Because I believe he's the youngest. And Peter is the oldest. He was 10 years old. So Leah had to be around probably like 8 or something like that. Okay. Brian and Leah was playing around in the house. Brian allegedly fell over his own feet or whatever, and Peter said he hit the table in the living room, in the corner of the coffee table in the living room, and that caused, all the fucked up shit that happened to him, okay? Little paralyzation and all that shit or whatever, right? Brain injury, neuro and all that shit. Okay, cool. And in this process, Brian said, well, hold the fuck up. Now, how the fuck would you know if I hit the coffee table and it couldn't be that I hit a pillow? I could have hit this, I could have hit that when you was up in the kitchen. So how was you able to see that? Bitch, come to fuck to find out. Because he thought that he tripped over his own feet, bitch. No, Peter was actually up in the goddamn living room and he wanted to get in on the fun with his brother and his sister, and he tripped him. Back to, you know how when you be playing and you be tripping your siblings and all that shit. He did one of those numbers. And Leah went on ahead and was like, because they was playing, they were actually playing. Peter would sit on the couch and he put his foot out and Brian tripped over and hit his head and all that shit. So Leah didn't see that. So she thinking because she was chasing him, he fucked around and, you know, tripped over his own feet. And she caused him to injure himself and become the way that he is. So she been living with that guilt for the rest that her whole life, which probably caused her to start this addiction to pills and all of this other stuff. She been in and out of rehab or whatever. And the way that Steve basically had it so that Brian was living in the guest house behind their house, right? Brian was working for him, okay? So he's living on his property and he's getting paid by him, right? He made it so that, you know, he's paying for things for his sister as well. And as soon as I found all of this out and they started saying this, I just knew that he had a problem with control. He wants to control everything, and he wants everybody that's in his life, he wants them to depend on him. He wants to be the savior. He wants to be the caretaker. He gets off on feeling needed. He cannot be by himself and not needed, okay? He feels like he's the smartest. That's just what it was. And a bitch like that is scary as shit to me, okay? And when all of this stuff started coming out, I said, no, girlfriend, this turned in from a mystery and a thriller to, bitch, a horror show. Because Peter, oh, Lord have mercy. I said, You literally let your sister and you berated your sister and you make her feel bad all the time about the fact that she could possibly still be doing drugs because they was looking for Brian's pills and they couldn't find the pills, or he couldn't find the pills, and he assumed that Leo had took the pills and she was on them stuff. And he didn't want Colin and Leah together because they're two addicts. Two different type of addicts, but two addicts. Okay, then come to find out, Marissa had the pills in the cabinet where the medicine always be at. You blaming your sister for something that she didn't do. And see, that's what happens, and that's unfortunate when you start doing stuff like drugs or things like that, and when something goes wrong or something goes missing or you start acting a little bit different, they're going to automatically assume that you might be back on that stuff again. Okay? Or you might be back on the alcohol again or some shit like that, you know? And it's unfortunate because you probably not. And in this case, Leah didn't. She even went and got a drug test and showed that she was clean. Did he apologize? Not really. And when they called his ass out and they got to the truth of what everything was going on, I said, oh my God, bitch, I'll never speak to your ass again. Okay? And then that's when they found out that Milo had got saved or whatever. Kind of found out there was a nanny that they had, Anna, who lied about knowing Carrie, because, you know, Carrie came up to them on the school ground at one point or some shit, but she was asking all these goddamn questions. Let me tell you something. You work for me. I work for you. I'm not telling your business. All right? I thought that was given. Why are we telling our employers and our employees businesses to people? Okay? Talking about they got a big house. They got so much money. They working here. They like this. They like that. Bitch, I'm like, Anna, shut up. Okay? You are a person of color. We don't trust white people like that. And they even got to say that. White women. No shade. No shade to the white women that watch me. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay? Because that bitch used all of that to get all that information out of her. Okay, and I said, oh my God, at the Chicago Marathon, some dude came up there, girl come to find out that was her baby daddy. Okay, come to find out that's also the old lady that we saw at the very beginning in episode 1, who actually came out there to help with the search for the little boy. That's his foster mama. I said, bitch, what? She went down there to the police because they had finally put got his photo, put it out there. And she was like, now listen, he'd been in some shit, but I just don't believe that he'll do some shit like this, okay? But we did see him going to the gas station getting some macaroni and cheese, and he had Lil Milo in the car. I said, what's going on? How did we get from Carrie to Milo to you, boo-boo? What's going on? I'm so confused. Okay, so I kept on watching, like, what's happening? Oh my God, this is crazy. Then we found out that he got killed. I said, what the fuck? Carrie, we killing people now? Where Lil Milo at? Girl, Milo was in the back of somebody's truck and he done got out and got to a police station. Then they found the hotel room where he was stashed at. Baby, they done found a body up in there too. I said, God damn it, Carrie, you done did 2 people already. What the fuck is going on, girl? What is this? You escalating a little bit too fast. You going off the rails. Like, come on, you gotta come back. You gotta come back. Bitch. And then when the detectives was up there, you know, talking to people who used to work at the place where Carrie little dude worked at, or the guy that had the boy, the baby in the car, who got the macaroni. They tried to talk to this one employee. She was like, I don't got nothing to say to you and all that shit. I don't know these people, so leave me the fuck alone. She get home and she get on the bus and she pull up the information about what was going on. And she said, Josie, what the hell you done did now? I said, now who the fuck is Josie? Girl, Josie is Carrie. Josephine, bitch. I said, God damn it. I should have known that was an alias. I should have known that was an alias, just like when she put that raggedy ass wig on her head when they was up in that goddamn little condo, straight out the pack. I said, fluff that shit out. Brush it out first, okay? Tweeze it a little bit, make it look a bit, and pull it to the side, and pull it back just slightly. Because I said, girl, what? What are we doing? You want to get caught, okay? But, yeah, girl. So here's the connection. We get to episode 7. Oh, yeah. Marissa eventually finds out about Colin and his little gambling shit and what he was doing with the money. And that his bookie, the dude that was up in the hotel that was dead, that was his bookie, bitch. Okay, so now she thinking, oh, bitch, you got something to do with my baby missing. Because it was just really bothering me. No shade, though. I said, Colin, why is you always up at the house? We ain't seen nobody else that was friends with Steve there. Steve ain't had no friends. He went and got some money for a ransom because somebody did call him and said, yeah, I got your son. Get the money ready and all this stuff. He was like, all right. So he called his boy up. And his financier, they had got all the money, emptied out all the accounts. And I was like, oh, shit. So then the detective was like, when Milo came back, they was like, bitch, the only way that Milo had to come back is if there was a ransom that was paid. And Marissa was like, what you talking about? I don't know nothing about no ransom. We ain't get no ransom. She was like, oh, okay. We'll see about that. But yeah, so she thought Colin had something to do with it. And so this is when all of this shit goes down because they had got their locks changed and everything. They was trying to call Colin and all that stuff. Colin and Leah was on their way there. They come up into the house and they going back and forth. Bitch, they ain't even locked the door. They didn't lock the door and they did. What was the point of getting the goddamn new alarm system if you're not going to alarm the system? And you're not going to lock the doors? Girl, who the fuck popped up in that bitch? Josephine, a.k.a. Miss Carrie. I said, Miss Carrie, baby, what are you doing? Had a gun, too. I said, oh, my God, what's going on? What's going on? Bitch. That was in episode 6. That was the end of episode 6. I said, oh, my God. Then we get to episode 7. And then it kind of slowed down. I said, girl, I don't need all this backstory. I ain't need all that backstory. Basically, Carrie was a teenager. She got pregnant. Oh boy that had the boy in the back seat, that was her boyfriend / baby daddy. They was living out there in Tent City. He wound up getting arrested for trying to sell some drugs or whatever. He got some years and she was pregnant and she wound up losing the baby, right? So she got mentally messed up because her baby, she lost her baby, okay? shit happens, right? I said, oh, that's real sad. And plus, she was young, and her mama truly didn't give a damn. And her mama thought that, kept on calling her crazy and all this other stuff or whatever. And I just didn't really like the way that her mama was treating her, though. Even though the girl was a little bit out there, but that was literally a mental reason why she was like that. And see, this is another thing. You have got to stop calling y'all kids crazy, calling them bad, calling them this or whatever. If you see them doing things that's out of the norm, take their ass to the goddamn doctor, because they could be a little bit neurospicy. Okay, got a little touch of autism that they probably can knock out right. Well, I ain't gonna say you can knock it out, but before it can escalate, you know what I'm saying? They probably got a little slight touch of it, and that don't mean that they bad. They just wired a little bit different, okay? But her mama didn't give a shit, all right? But when the mama found out that she had opened up a credit card in her name and then used up the majority of it, and she said, no, bitch, you gonna pay me. You gonna work to pay me back, bitch. I own you at this point. Now, see, I give mama that. Because, bitch, you not finna. I said, see, this is when the kids be doing shit that they try to be grown, but don't know what they being grown about. And don't know how to go about it. And don't know how credit and all that stuff work. Baby, you gotta pay it back, okay? And it's not just in 6 months. You're paying it back, okay? They trying to get you. And she said, yeah, bitch, you gonna pay all that shit back. She wound up working with her daddy at the bar, and the daddy is also a bookie. Long story short, she fucked around, because then they said the little boy's little froggy stuffed animal had went missing back around Easter. Carrie had that. It was like, well, hold the fuck up. Now, when did y'all pass cross? In Easter? That's months ago. What the fuck? And that's before she started working with Jenny. Okay? And, kind of found out they was out there on the beach or whatever, on a ranch or some shit. Jenny just so happened, not Jenny, but Carrie just so happened to be out there. Saw little Milo sit out there, and she was taken by him. She was going through it and everything. She was crying and all this shit. And then they had a little conversation. I said, see, this is the thing. Y'all got to watch y'all kids. Why is that little boy out there? Anything could have happened. That girl could have snatched him up right then and there. But she didn't do that. Had a little conversation with him. And then they started talking about stuff like how, he named the little froggy Chips. And it was like, why would you call him Chips? She was like, because every time I hear frog, it tastes like chips. What? Excuse me, what that mean? And it was like, every time I hear the word or say the word frog, it tastes like chips. I never heard no shit like that. And she was like, oh, I used to do that shit too. Like, I don't know what that is, but see, bitch, that used to be happening to me. Like different days of the week look like colors, Monday looks like this. And he was like, no, Monday is orange. And I said, wait a minute, y'all connected. Oh. Now, see, Carrie, you could have been a good influence if you went about it the right way. And kind of found out it was a little bit deeper than that. And so, that was where they first met. And that's when she got up in her mind, I'm going to take this little boy. I said, God damn, bitch. She was just stalking. Went on Marissa's page, Facebook, going through all the pictures and shit. Printed out the picture of the little boy and put it on her wall. Girl, the mama had came up into her room and was saying some dumb shit to her, whatever. She got pissed off and she wound up choking her mama out. Her mama said, get the fuck up out my house. Imagine she was just up in there trying to practice her little skit and her little speech, how she go on interviews for the nannies and stuff. Mind you, they was trying to get on Jenny too and make her feel like she was guilty or whatever for hiring the girl. And it really wasn't her fault, because like she said, and they showed us her sitting down with the girl, and that she did reach out to her references and the families that she allegedly had talked to and was working with before, and they gave her glowing references and stuff like that. And my whole thing is, how come we never saw the people that was working in conjunction with her who gave her these lies? Okay? And so she wound up working with Jenny because, Milo went to the same school as Jenny's son. And so that was the connection. And then, Carrie wound up linking up with Anna. Anna was so oblivious to what was going on. Carrie wound up telling her boyfriend about it. Who was her boyfriend? Of course, it's old boy that was in the car with the baby, Milo. Not only was he the boyfriend, he was the baby daddy. her baby daddy. They baby dad, right? And so he was like, girl, you crazy for this. But then he went on ahead with it. Then her daddy got involved in the shit. Excuse me. He was the one that called Peter and did the ransom. And because they pictures was all over the news, the daddy was like, you know what, we gotta take this child back, okay? We gotta take this child back. It's too hot, it's too much going on, too much heat. So they was leaving, they was finna go to the daddy hotel room, little motel room. Why the daddy was the one that killed that girl boyfriend. He was looking for Mr. Chips, which was on the other side. He bent down trying to look for it, and the daddy popped him right in the back of the head. I said, oh my God, why would you do that, Sonny? Meanwhile, they was in the hotel room with little Milo, right? He convinced his daughter to go to the store, do something to get out the hotel, and he was playing with Milo, playing a little hide and seek, okay? And he told Milo, yo, stay up in the bathroom. He was like, listen, if I stay up in the bathroom, you already know where I'm at. He said, that's fine, because I got somebody coming over. You got to be real quiet, okay? And I'm thinking he finna do a little drug deal or some shit like that, because daddy was giving shady like that. And couldn't find out, by the time Carrie Josephine came back to the room, daddy was dead. And daddy phone was recording the whole thing. And I said, oh my God, what the fuck? You with the feds too, bitch? You a snitch? What is going on, Diddy? Girl. And Milo was gone. Milo was back home. And then we get back to the present with Marissa and them being held up by goddamn Carrie Josephine. I said, oh my God, Josie, what's going on? She was like, all I came here to do, is to tell you to watch out for him. Mind you, because she had the gun out, Colin wanted to be super safe at home and try to wrestle the gun out of her hand and wound up getting shot in the stomach and wound up dying. I said, oh my God, the nigga always goes first. Well, he ain't go first, but he ain't survived the end. I said, typical shit, bitch. I thought he was going to last. I wanted him to get in. I hate to say this, I did want him to get in trouble because why is you doing that shit with the money? You ain't have to do that shit with the money. Like, it was just too much stuff that was going on. But I still wanted him to survive. I wanted him to atone for his sins, his financial sins, But I didn't want him to die like that, and I did not expect him to die, okay? Girl, they went up there with the kids, okay? The sister, I should say, went up there with Milo because he was already in the house. Kind of found out, Carrie Josephine was trying to say, bitch, oh my God, I did not come over here to do this. Okay, I just wanted to tell you to watch out for Milo because he's the worst person. He's evil. And I got it on, look, I got it on tape. I said, oh my God, what are you talking about? Bitch, she pulled that goddamn phone out. Peter went over there wrestling her with the phone, trying to take the gun from her, and then took the gun from her and shot her. I said, oh my God, what the fuck? Didn't even get the phone. I said, what the fuck? Oh no. Girl, when the police came, he tried to say that it was self-defense, and we saw that it wasn't self-defense. Marissa saw that it wasn't self-defense, okay? Marissa had got that phone, and Marissa played that phone. The recording that was on the phone that was the daddy's phone, Carrie's daddy's phone, right? The person that came to the hotel room to meet up with him was Peter. Peter found where his son was. He had the ransom money. He basically beat Sonny over the head and killed his ass and put the son in the car so that they could find him. I said, what type of goddamn psychotic shit is that? Because Marissa eventually found the money in the closet. So he had to tell her what was going on. Marissa pissed me off. Because mind you, the cops was there. Marissa pissed me off so bad when she gave him back that phone. I know you are scared, but the police were right there. And you could have, bitch, I would have came up in that motherfucker and I would have had it playing right there in front of the police. This is what it did. You did this. You did this. Bitch, because it was too many things. Okay? And I said, Marissa, that should have been your last. That should have been your last. Oh, but Peter still had some old shit coming. She was like it was something else that you didn't want her to say. What the hell was she talking about? Talking about some, you the bad person, and she wanted me to watch Milo. What was going on with that? Bitch, there was one episode earlier in the season or in the show where we saw them go back 5 years because the little boy was about to turn 6. So they went back 5 years earlier, and we see that Marissa was coming home with Peter, and they had the newborn baby in the carrier, and they had just came home, and he was like, you sure you're okay and all this stuff? Now, when I saw that, I'm thinking, oh, she literally just gave birth, so that's why he's asking all of this. Girl, no. Okay? They was coming back from the hospital. She had been in the hospital for a minute because they had gotten into a goddamn car accident. They got into a car accident. And you want to know who the car accident they got into with? They got into a car accident with goddamn Josephine Carrie. So she was told, we thinking that she was told, yeah, she was told that her baby had died. Her baby was in the car with her. And when they got into the car accident, we thinking that, or she was told that her baby died. Bitch, come the fuck to find out Marissa's baby was the one that died. Marissa and Peter's baby was the one that died. Marissa was out cold. Peter said, I thought you was dead. My baby was dead. I went over there to go check on Josephine and whatever. I thought her ass was dead, but her baby was still alive. So I switched the babies. I did this for good, okay? She was a teen. She didn't know what she was doing with no baby, okay? She didn't deserve to have no baby. I said, who the fuck are you to say some shit like that? And at that moment, I said, girl, you need to run. I was like, oh my God, he is crazy. And he said, please don't tell. Please don't tell. Please don't tell. Because then the detectives came and talked to him. Now, here's the thing. The detectives was seeing right through the bullshit. The main one especially, he was seeing right through the bullshit. And I was wondering how come they kept on, like, I was okay with, different type of people being represented and showing, being put on display or whatever, because he had a son that he had mental disabilities, okay? So they were trying to get him into this school and everything. And so he knows some things and he goes to doctors or whatever. And he caught on to something about this sensory stuff or whatever. When you smell stuff, but it tastes like it's, like what the little boy said. When I hear the word frog, it tastes like chips. Sometimes and it's very rare. And so a child will have that. If they were to have that, it was passed down to them. You only get it hereditary, the genetics and hereditary and all that stuff, right? And it's a very rare type of neurodivergency type of situation. And I'm sitting here like, ding, 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 bitch. He done figured out that Milo ain't theirs. And that's that girl's baby. Because when they was looking at the colors and all of this stuff, he started thinking about it. Because when he went and he saw the colors of the thing, and when he had asked him about why he named the frog chips and all that shit too, he was talking about, bitch, he was putting it all together, bitch. He was putting it all together. We didn't need no DNA test. Girl, he went down to the hospital and he had got the file and found out who it was that was in the car accident, who came to the car accident when Peter and them got into it, okay? Because Peter was the one that had told them. So basically what I feel like it was is, we had gotten to this car accident and her baby died, and she couldn't get over the fact that her baby died and our baby survives. And so she held this on, and that's why she came back. And, she just was crazy. So the detective went down to the hospital and talked to the paramedics and found out, oh no, that girl baby didn't die. Marissa baby died. So now he knows that Milo is really Carrie's baby all along. Peter, this bitch, gonna tell her this almost over and we can just go back to being like it was. Excuse me. I didn't understand how she was able to lay up in the bed with him. I I ain't understand it, baby. I was like, oh no, Marissa, get your ass out of bed. He is crazy. I don't like this, girl. I'm scared. I'm scared for you, girl. And then they was going to the funeral for Colin, right? They did have some little name tags because Leah was the one that had helped put things together. And we see Marissa go to the car and she was putting something in the truck or whatever. Okay, fine. And then they get to the funeral, they get to the repast or whatever. And there's this one scene where Leah was outside on the balcony and she was talking to the brother. Peter had came out there, right? Peter came out there and then basically said, again, this is her fault that this is like this because he went over the edge by getting with her, basically blaming her. I said, you are an asshole. You can't even be nice for a minute. And then when he saw his other brother and he was in his wheelchair, he was upset. He felt some type of way. Because now he wants to be in his wheelchair. He's going to go to this assisted living program so that he can get away from him. And he want to get his own job. He wants his own independence outside of his brother. And he can't take that. So then he was looking at the wine cabinet and it was just a whole bunch of wine up in there. I said, yikes, that's a lot. Whoa, Colin, you was doing your thing. You should have sold that shit to get your ass out of debt. But anyway, so then I was like, Marissa, what are you going to do? Now, mind you, Marissa actually went and told Jenny what was up. Jenny was like, oh my God, girl, I'm on your side, bitch. Whatever you need to do, we gonna do that shit. I done got rid of my husband, bitch. You got to get rid of yours, okay? I said, what y'all finna do? What y'all finna do? Girl, Marissa came up in there trying to sweet talk this man. I said, Marissa, what the fuck are you doing? And next thing you know, they started kissing up in there. I was like, oh my God, I missed this. And then all of a sudden, he just started. I said, what's going on? He said, my throat is closing up. It's fitted to look. I said, oh shit, bitch, is he having an allergic reaction? Girl, you done gave him some peanuts? No, bitch, she done ate something with some soybeans or something on there. He's allergic to soy. Okay? That shit was on her lips, on her tongue, and all of that stuff. And he had tasted it, and now he having an allergic reaction. And then it was like, go in the room. Okay, I got an EpiPen in the first aid or whatever. The EpiPen was 3 years old. And it had expired. It didn't work. She screamed out at Leah, go ahead, get outside and get the first aid kit out the car. Leah said, bitch, ain't no first aid kit up in the car. Bitch, at this point, Peter looked at her. Mind you, he's gasping. He ain't got that long. He said, you always keep the emergency kit in the car. She said, you know what? I do. I said, God damn it, bitch. She said the blood ain't gonna be on my hand, literally, but you gonna have a goddamn allergic reaction that I caused because, bitch, I gotta get the fuck away from you because you are crazy as shit. And he died. And so the detective came over there and he was like, you know what? First of all, when they was doing that interrogation and they thought that the sister was gonna be the one that break and tell the truth. And he was like, did you see Marissa? Because she the type of person that's just going to always, buy the book stuff and make sure everything together and everything, whatever, precise and concise. Did you see her read the label? Okay. And she said, listen, bitch, now let me tell you something. Marissa's a lot of things. And he said, okay, cool, that's whatever. But did you see her read the soy? And she said, I don't know. And maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But also, people make mistakes and people forget things. But as of me, did I actually see her do it? Eat the soy and read the soy thing? No, but she did. And I said, you know what, Leah, you are all right with me. Because Leah could have tricked on her. Leah could have said, hell yeah. But then she played in her mind the last shit that her brother said to her. And she said, hell no, I ain't see that lady do that. And so they got away with it. And the detective came over there to her and said, listen, let me tell you something. I know about Milo not being your child because of the neurodivergency things that he got going on. And that's hereditary. Okay? I gotta go watch that movie again because that movie fucked me up. But, yeah. But you know what? I thought I could come over here and I do the right thing and all this stuff, whatever. And I feel bad. But you know what? I don't. So y'all enjoy y'all day. Enjoy y'all life. Deuces. I said, you know what? Good on you, Mr. Detective. And then she linked up with Jeannie at the end with her boys. They gonna grow up and be best of friends. Let me tell you something. This was actually good. It was actually good. All right. It kept me entertained. It kept me in. It did slow down when it got to the whole situation with what's the girl name? Josephine Carrie, when we found out her information. Girl, I wanted to fast forward that episode so bad because, girl, I don't give a fuck about her daddy. I ain't give a fuck about her like that. Well, honest, I just wanted them to tell us why she did it because I kind of figured out once we found out that she was pregnant. I said, yeah, this is why she's doing it because, you know, she couldn't get over the fact that she was pregnant. Bitch, I have been using Sacred and my edges right here is growing back. It's They got something, bitch. You can't really see it, but I can feel it, bitch. It is hairy right there. Anyway, so yeah, bitch. The movie, or I should say, the show was good. Like I said, give Sarah Snooks her Emmy. Everybody played their part. Everybody played their part. They really did a really good job. Peacock, you got a hit on your hands. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10, you know. But yeah, you guys go watch it if you haven't. If you haven't and you still here after I said jump the fuck off, well, that was on you. That was on you. But yeah, girl, if you watched it, put it down in the comments. Let's discuss how you feel about it. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.